Hey everyone, welcome to another video. So in this video, we'll try and understand all about the GST Appellate Tribunal or GSTAT as it's commonly called. And well, this will be a game changer in the evolving litigation landscape of indirect taxes, or to be more precise, in the litigation landscape of GST. Well, before the establishment of GSTAT, let's see and understand how the previous or the existing appeal filing process looks like. At the first place, you have the GST officer who will issue a notice on your business stating there's some amount of GST interest penalty that you should pay. You will refute the notice by sending a response, and if your response is found to be unsatisfactory, then the GST officer will pass an order against you. Now, you have an option to file an appeal within 3 months of passing the order before the appellate authority, which is basically the appeals officer of the same GST department. And say in a case where the appeals officer also passes an order against you, then you have an option to go to the High Court and file a writ petition with the help of a lawyer and then present your appeal. If the High Court also passes an order against you unfavorable, then you have an option to file an appeal before the Supreme Court, and this is how the existing system looks like. But after the GSTAT has been established from 24th of September 2025, your appeal filing process has become more structured because now you have an additional jurisdiction layer being inserted. That is, instead of you approaching the High Court directly by way of writ petition, you can now file an appeal within 3 months of getting the order from the appeals officer before the GSTAT. So therefore, GSTAT, like I said before, is transforming or will transform the litigation landscape of indirect taxes in the country. So in this particular video, we'll understand certain elements associated with GSTAT, like the Constitution, that is, who should be the members of the GSTAT at different benches, the jurisdiction, how many GSTAT or how many such divisions should be there in the country, threshold and fees. Well, not all GST cases can be appealed for before the GSTAT. There is a minimum threshold limit as far as taxes, interest, penalty is concerned, so as to avoid frivolous appeals. You have the appeal filing process by when you should file the appeal before the GSTAT. Pre-deposit is a common concept associated with appeal filing. Before you file an appeal before the GSTAT, then you need to deposit a minimum of 10% of pre-deposit. The orders passed by the GSTAT, once you get these orders, what is your next step going to be, is something that we'll understand in this particular video. So first things first, and that is about the Constitution. Well, as far as GST Appellate Tribunal is concerned, you have one principal bench which is acting like the head office, which is situated in Delhi. And this principal bench will have 4 members. It will have 1 judicial member, 1 elected nominated president. You have 1 technical member from the center and 1 technical member from the state. So 4 members in total for the principal bench. As far as the state benches are concerned, which is going to be in multiple states, you again have 4 members. That is basically 2 judicial members and 2 technical members. So this is regarding the Constitution on how many members should form a part of the different benches of the GSTAT. Coming to the jurisdiction. As far as principal bench is concerned in Delhi, only those cases of certain types would be heard when the appeal is filed. 1, if the GST case is pertaining to place of supply, that's basically to find out whether it should be a CGST, SGST or an IGST to find the place of supply. You have ISD, input service distribution oriented GST cases, and then you have the online information data access retrieval services, basically OIDARS related cases can also be appealed for before the principal bench. So not all types of GST cases can be appealed for, only specific types like place of supply oriented, ISD oriented, or online information data access retrieval service oriented GST cases can be appealed for before the principal bench. As far as the multiple state benches are concerned, anything else other than those for the principal bench can be appealed for before the state benches. Now, there could be a situation where before 2 state benches, let's say for example, you have the Telangana state bench where a GST case is being disputed, or you want to file an appeal before that. You have a Chennai state bench against which you want to file an appeal. Now, in these 2 state benches, there's an identical question of law being held. The merits or the law or the facts are the same. Then these 2 benches will coordinate with each other and they will pass on the case to the principal bench. So if at multiple state benches there are identical questions of the law being factored into for the appeal, then they will work in consensus and it will be sent to the principal bench for a hearing of all appeal filing process. This is to ensure consistency and to avoid any kind of conflicts in the matters involving same facts and merits. Coming to the threshold limits, like I said before, as far as tax, interest and penalty is concerned, if the amount involved is more than 50 lakh rupees, then you can file an appeal before the GST Appellate Tribunal. If the amount is not exceeding 50 lakhs, but there is a substantial legal question of law being involved in this, then you can file an appeal before the GST Appellate Tribunal. As far as fees is concerned, for every 1 lakh rupees of the disputed tax, interest or penalty, the fee is going to be rupees 1000, subject to a maximum rupees 25,000. So even if the demand is going to be in crores or whatever higher amounts, your maximum fees will be limited to 25,000 rupees. Fourth is the appeal filing process. Now here there are two parts. One is for all orders that are passed by the previous authority prior to 1st April 26. For all GST orders passed by the previous authority prior to 1st April 26, the Appellate Tribunal or the GST Department tells you that, look, you have an opportunity to file an appeal before the GSTAT by 30th of June 2026. And for all orders passed by the previous authority after 1st April 2026, then you have to follow the law under GST, which says that you need to file an appeal within 3 months of passing that particular order. So if the orders are prior to 1st April 26, then 30th June 26. If the orders are after April 26, then it's only 3 months from passing the order, from getting the order of the previous authority. And the filing process for all orders received before April 26 is going to be staggered so as to avoid any kind of heavy load onto the GST portal, because even the appeal before the GSTAT is going to be all online. So to avoid any kind of crashing and heavy loading onto the portal, they provide a staggered system of filing, a staggered filing process, so that you can file all your orders, file appeals against orders passed prior to 1st April 26 within June 2026. The fifth one is about pre-deposit. Now, pre-deposit, like I said, is a common concept associated with appeal filing. At the first appeal filing process, that is when the appellate authority passes an order, you also have to do a pre-deposit of 10%. And if the appellate authority passes an unfavorable order, you also have to do an additional 10% before you approach the GSTAT. So it's basically 10% in the first appeal stage plus another 10% in the second appeal stage. If it's 100% penalty, that is, there's no tax, there is no interest, there is no anything else, only a penalty 100%, then you also need to do a pre-deposit penalty of 10%. Now, suppose in the first level of the appeal, let's say the dispute amount was 50,000 rupees against which you did a pre-deposit of 10%, that's basically 5,000 rupees. Let's say against this 50,000 rupees, you got a favorable order for a partial amount, let's say 30,000 rupees. 10% of that is 3,000 rupees. Now, you would think that, okay, because I got a favorable order for the partial amount of 30,000 rupees, that 3,000 rupees, what I paid actually as a 10%, the 3,000 rupees, which is proportionate to the amount that's favorable for me, can I use it to set off against the next 10% that I'll file for the remaining 20,000 of disputed tax? So 50,000 is what I disputed, 30,000 is what I got in favor. The remaining 20,000 for which I'm going to file an appeal, I did a pre-deposit of 5,000. Can I adjust the pre-deposit of 3,000 proportionate to the amount I got as favored? That is, the order was passed in favor of me for the 30,000 rupees. The answer is no. You cannot do an adjustment of the pre-deposit amounts. If you have deposited 10% at the first stage, no adjustments, you have to deposit another 10% of the disputed tax amount in the second stage as well. The last one is the orders by the GSTAT. If the principal bench is passing an order, if the GSTAT principal bench is passing an order, then the next step for you is to file an appeal directly to the Supreme Court. And if multiple state benches are passing an order, the next step for you to file is to go forward is to file an appeal before the High Court. So this was the result of the orders passed by the GSTAT if it's turning to be unfavorable for you. So therefore, the Appellate Tribunal is definitely going to change the litigation landscape of the country, like we said before. But the path ahead is not going to be quite easy. It's not going to be quite smooth, because as of now, there are around 5 lakh appeals that are pending before the first level of authority, and a majority of those appeals will further be appealed before the GSTAT. And you have multiple state benches. Even in one state, you have multiple state benches. You may have 2 or 3 state benches even in one state. So all these state benches will have to work in consensus with each other and coordinate with the principal bench in Delhi. Well, like I said before, this has been operational from 24th of September 25, and the Appellate Tribunal will start their hearing process from December end onwards. Well, I hope I was able to make things clear through this particular video. If you like the video, you could show support to us by hitting the like button. If you want more videos of these on a regular basis, you could also think of hitting on the subscribe button. Till then, I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care and thank you.